So I'm going to do a bit of talking, and then after that, I will give you the opportunity to ask questions. I mean, you can ask questions all the time, but maybe see if there's specific topics you want to look at. So I want to start with stack versus heap. And then I want to think on us to reflect on a study approach. Okay. So maybe something that you want to do or approach you want to take. So maybe share what is working for you. What should we try? Okay, so I want us to kind of reflect on that a little bit. And then, yeah, then I want us to go through, and then I want us to look a little bit into, we want to look into inheritance. I mean, inheritance, polymorphism, interfaces, okay, interfaces. And then maybe at the end, we'll touch a little bit on exceptions, okay. So those are the kind of topics I hope to cover. And we'll kind of see how we get through this, okay. So the important thing, so I am going to refer to the PDF quite a fair bit. Well, that's a document that you have. So I have the PDF open here. So let me just see how I do this. So I have this thing here. Okay, so let me just see. I bring this open to that side. Where is my PDF thing? Okay. So with this, what I'm hoping to do is to leave you with an approach, or to support you in an approach of how to study these things, because I think the challenge is you know a lot of the concepts, but they ask you in a lot of detail in the OCA, and then we trip up. So I want to find a way for us to deal with that. That is what I want to do, so you can collaborate on ideas and things as we go along. So what I'm going to be looking at. So I don't know if you got your books with you. If you do, you can go to page 176. You can open the PDF locally. But what I want to look at today, so we're going to look at the stack versus a heap, because if you understand the stack and the heap, you understand a lot of concepts that goes with that. Things like inheritance and polymorphism and casting and all that stuff start to make a lot of sense once you understand the stack and the heap. So the stack and the heap, okay, so they both are memory spaces, okay, in the JVM. Okay, so that's the important part. Memory spaces in the JVM. So they are maintained by the JVM, and the way to think about them is there's two things. Okay, there's instance variables. There's instance variables, and objects, and then we have local variables. Okay, so I want to know from you, what's the difference between an instance variable and a local variable?
Andre? So an instance variable is created on class level at an instance of a class, whereas a local variable is created locally within the method of a class. So that's a major difference between the two. Is that one is on an instance level, the other one is on a method local level.
Okay, so this is inside. So instance variable inside a class. Okay, and then we have local variables inside a method of a class. Okay, That's a big difference. And then objects, what is an object?
An object is anything that can be given values in which we can access those values, I suppose.
Anybody else? What's an object? What is an object in Java?
It's an instance of a class.
Instance of a class. Okay. Very, very, very true. Okay. So that's kind of what we look. So looking at this. So what we have is we've got these memory spaces. We've got a stack. So in the stack, instance variables and objects live. No, the other way around. The heap, okay, takes the instance variables, and the other one we have is the stack. Okay, so there's two locations. Okay, there's a stack and there's the heap. Both of those are memory locations. Okay, things on the stack, potentially things on the stack, if they are not classes. So in Java, is there something that cannot be a class? Is there something that is not a class?
Variables?
Okay, what do you mean by that? Just kind of
Like variables inside a class?
what type of variables? So what is not a class in Java? Is everything always a class? Is variables inside, or is there things that's not a class in Java? Or not objects for that matter, not an instance of a class. Top tip, what do I call these ones?
The what you call, you can't see. Are you sharing your screen, by the way?
No, I'm not. You'll be amazed at what I've done so far.
No,
And you've okay, so
I was saying, so anything that's not a class is the members of that class. So that could be methods, that could be variables, and yeah.
so what is not a class in Java? Things like, what do we call these ones? Int, double, boolean. What are they called?
Primitive.
Primitives, okay? So primitives, okay? So where do they exist? On the stack or on the heap? So primitives, okay, so they're always on the stack. Okay. Okay. Okay, cool. So that's always on the stack. Okay, so that is what is not. So that's the kind of thing. So how can these things live on the heap? Can double, float, and boolean live on the heap? When we use what? What do we use with these things? We use
Wrapper classes.
wrapper classes. Okay, so we have wrapper classes. What is a wrapper class? Okay, those are method classes like integer, float, integer, float, boolean. Okay,
And
it's sorry,
long.
long. Okay, boolean, float, long. Okay, so these are wrapper classes. Okay, and then okay, so that's cool. What can you tell me about these integer, long, and float and whatever? What do you know about them? They what? They are these wrapper classes. What are they? They're immutable. Okay, so they always change. Is that right? So I can't, so the immutable, and there's also a string, okay? String class is not really a wrapper class, but that's also string class, also immutable, okay? So that's kind of a thing, okay? So
I'm sorry, Andre.
yeah.
It doesn't immutable mean they can't be changed.
Yes.
Well, I thought you said they change all the time.
No, sorry if I said that is wrong. Immutable mean they can't change. But they can't change. Immutable mean it can't change, okay? These ones are immutable. So it means the instance of that can't change. And the string is immutable. So getting back to wrapper classes, so moving between a, what is it called? A primitive and a wrapper class, okay? How do I do that, okay? If I have an int like this, int count, counter equal this, okay? How do I move that to a wrapper? What do I do?
Costing.
Do you cast, okay? So what you can actually do is you can just do this, okay? So in this case, counter. So I can say something like this, okay? So would this code work or not if I do something like this? Will this work?
It would work.
Sorry?
It would work, yes.
It would work. Okay, why would it work?
Because int and integer are in the integer is a wrapper class of int.
Mm-hmm. So there's
Yeah.
something called boxing and unboxing. So in this case, it will basically put the integer into a box, okay? Into an integer box without you looking, okay? So it's doing boxing. So there's something called boxing. I don't know if it's in here. Let's see. Boxing. So there is, let's just look at previous. So it doesn't happen, it's not happening a lot, okay? So here we say, technically speaking, array holds auto boxing. So here they say auto boxing with array lists, okay? So here they say primitives still have to be wrapped before they can be added to an array list, but auto boxing takes care, okay? So in this point in time, there is, they discuss auto boxing. So in this case, what we have, see, normally we will do something. I don't know if you can see my screen. It's probably quite small, okay? But what we have here, see 100. So what they're basically saying, normally you would have had to do something like this, okay? But now you can just do something like this, okay? It's a list of array of ints, and if I do add, you can just add 42. So behind the scenes, auto boxing means it's converting that into a wrapper class, okay? That is not a, so auto boxing is a concept that you might need to go and explore, but auto boxing is basically the thing that gives us the ability to move between wrappers and primitives, okay? So that's something you need to make sure that you understand properly. Any questions about wrapper classes and primitive classes at this, or primitives at this point in time, or you're happy with what we spoke about? Okay, so remember that immutable. So as soon as you give it a new value, so if you do something like the following, so if you say I've got a integer, and I say integer y equals 100, and then I say yeah, I don't even know how to show you that. So if I say integer y, we will show that with now on the heap and the stack. So if I do y equal 200, we will kind of show you what's actually happening behind the scenes when we are doing this. Because what you're doing when you're doing this, you're actually doing this new integer. You're not seeing that it's happening, but it's actually doing this. And even up here, when you're not looking, the compiler goes and it's actually wrapping a new thing around there. So that's what the auto boxing is all about. It's putting it into an object box, okay? When you are not looking, it actually goes and it puts a wrapper around it. So when you say here, so when I'm doing this, 200, it's actually creating a new integer. And then in this case, it's creating, it's y, but it's creating a new integer. So if we look at the heap and the stack, okay? So if we have our heap here, okay? I'm just seeing how can I control Z. So what I need for my heap, I don't need a sticky note. I need a different shape. Okay, let's call this my heap. So this is my heap, okay? Our heap is a place in memory. And then we have another thing here that we'll call our stack, okay? So in this case, do I do this, make this a bit smaller. So what I have here is I have my heap. No, this is not a heap. This is my heap on this side. And this side here is my Control C, Control V. So I can do here and I have a stack. Okay. So now in our case here, so this is happening inside of a method, okay, in a class, okay. So we do this, okay, inside a method, okay. So looking at this, what is happening onto the stack? What is going onto the stack when I'm doing this line here? I am saying I'm going here and I say I've got y, okay. Y is actually a integer, okay. Do you agree with me? Okay, y is an integer like that, okay. But what's happening here is not only do I create something on the heap, on the stack, but I also create something on the, let me just see, how do I change the color of this thing? I go, and now I create a new, what do we create on the heap?
An object.
We create a new object, so which is saying new integer that is equal to 200, okay? So I'm doing this, okay? My example here sucks big time. I want to make this one 300. So when I'm doing this, so what I have now is I've got this one, okay, pointing there on the heap, okay? So this is my stack, this is my heap, okay? So this class here is an integer, okay? What do you know about all classes in Java? What is it? The superclass of an integer of all classes is what?
Object.
It's object, okay? So any class, let me just see how I do. Control Z, I duplicated the wrong thing. Okay, so what I actually want is I want to do this, Control C, Control V. So if I look at this thing on the heap, okay, this thing is actually two things, okay? It is an integer behind the scenes. It's also And so it's this, and it's also an object. Okay. Okay. So looking at this, I have two things. I've got an object and I've got an integer that they kind of together. Okay. Or they're exactly together. They're not kind of together. Because if I have the one, what did I now do to the other one? What did I've moved it behind the other one now. Where is it? See, there they are. I want to somehow make them that I can see them both. Okay. So now I want to just say send this to the back. Send to back. Okay. So I have something like this on the heap now. Okay. So I've got a reference. I've got a reference to my object on the heap. So my y is called that's my reference type. Okay. What is the reference type that I'm using here? I'm using an integer to reference this integer. Okay. So what I can also do is I can now go and I can write some other code. So if I were to write code like this, object, when I say n2 equals y, okay? Would that work if I do something like this? Is that a valid thing to do? So what am I saying now? So what I'm doing, if I do this, I say Control C, I say, okay, I am creating n2, okay? n2 is an object, okay? And then what I'm saying is I'm referencing this thing is referencing the same, Control Z. I am referencing
Oh yeah, it would work.
the same thing onto on the heap, okay? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Is that a valid thing to do?
It's like saying object is integer is an object.
Yes, exactly, okay? I'm saying object is, integer is an object, exactly. And because integer is an object, the reference type that I can use for that is actually object, okay? But I want to show you this is kind of what's happening on the heap. So both of these are pointing to the same thing here, okay? This looks very trivial now, but soon when we get to more complicated examples, you will see why it's useful to think about it in this way. Okay, oh man, if I just send to back that thing, it's kind of so annoying. Control Z. But now, what happens if what I'm doing here, if I say now y equals to a new integer, what's happening now? If I say this, if I say y is equal to a new integer 300, so what's actually happening behind the scenes? So behind the scenes, what's happening now, because we say new, whenever we say new, we create something new on the stack, okay? So what's actually happening on the stack is we have Control C, Control V. So we have this, okay? Now we have new integer 300, okay? And now y at this point in time doesn't point to that one anymore, but now y points to that one, okay? Does that make sense? So now we create.
So does that make that thing get destroyed? It goes null and then it goes into the rubbish something. I forgot
The
it's
rubbish
called.
something. You're talking about the garbage collector, okay?
Yes.
So the garbage, looking at this, okay? So the garbage collector only runs if something on the heap has nobody pointing to it, okay? So looking at this, because this object still have, I'm going to remove the object just for now. So because this N2 is still pointing there, okay, it won't be garbage collected, okay? If I were to say the following, okay, now I'm saying N2, I'm taking this local reference and I'm saying I'm making it null. So what I'm doing now is I'm breaking this link like that, okay? So now if the garbage collector comes, it will check, hey, is there anybody linking into this object? It will find this object, it will say, no, there's nobody there. And then it will say plop, okay? Then it will garbage collect, okay? And then it obviously at that point, this variable on the stack would also, I mean, that might still be null. And then when that object, when that method ends, it will go poops like this, okay? And even if this was a local variable, what would have is it would do this as well. This thing will go out of scope, boop, okay? And then next time the garbage collector run, it can go like, bloop, okay? And then the heap is empty again, okay? So the garbage collector runs on the heap, okay? And whenever the heap, something on the heap has no reference to itself, or nobody's referencing it, then it will basically garbage collect. Any questions about that? So one thing to note is that objects on the heap can reference to each other. So potentially you could have something like this, okay? So then this object won't get garbage collected because the other object is referring to it. I mean, obviously integers can't point to each other, but if you had another type of object, then this one will only get garbage collected if this link is broken or if this link is broken, then both of them will get garbage collected. Or even in this case, yeah, I mean, it should get, so now this one gets garbage collected. Yeah, there might be some side effects. But that's kind of the heap in action, the heap and the stack. I don't know if any questions at this point in time about the heap and the stack, because it's like a very important concept to actually understand. And once we understand this, we can actually, think about inheritance, how all those things work, and so forth. Any questions about the heap and the stack?
No question from me.
Any questions? Any other questions? Anything you want to clarify? Okay. So the heap, the stack is for local variables, lives inside a method. Instance variables and objects lives on the heap. Okay, so instances of a class, every time you say new something, that goes onto the heap. Okay, and then depending on whether the reference type is a local variable or instance variable, it might go onto the stack or it might go onto the heap. Local variables always go onto the stack. Instance variables go onto the heap, okay? So the important thing is, if you want to read more about that, so it's here. So if you look at, is it page roundabout? No, man. It's page 178, I think, 178. Man, heap. Okay, okay, here we go. So that's on page 177. Okay, you see here they also have a picture. They've got some code. This is a stack. They say the method it's in and where it's pointing to. And you can see there's some instance variables here that's pointing to some objects. Okay, so that's definitely possible. Okay, so what does the stack and the heap? Okay, how is that linked to inheritance? Or let me rather put it like this. Is the heap related to inheritance? What do you think? Okay.
I think they are
I think it's
related.
connected, Andre.
Yeah.
In which way?
It is connected.
I feel like since inheritance is obviously the whole concept of inheritance is subclasses, access, properties, and objects of superclasses. So I think anytime the heap is created, uh, it allows for new objects to be created as well.
The last for what?
And so I don't see created.
Sorry.
I don't know. I'm just taking a wild guess. I'm assuming it allows for new objects to be created when inheritance occurs or something.
I'm just I can't hear you. What words you're saying? It allows what to be created?
It allows for a new heap to be created each time inheritance occurs.
A new key or what?
Heap,
A new heap.
new objects, new objects.
Okay,
New
cool.
objects,
Okay,
basically.
okay, good. Okay, so yeah, so every time you instantiate a class, okay, then something goes onto the heap, okay, and it goes onto the heap as a specific type, okay. So yeah, so the important thing is, so what's the relationship between the object type and the reference type? Okay. So let's take a step back, okay. So we have a reference type, okay. We have reference type versus object type. Okay, so what is the difference? Which one is which?
Reference type refers to an object, and the object type is like family of the object.
Reference type refers to the object, okay, and I like what you say. Object type is the family of the object, okay. So, and then reference types, okay, where do they normally live?
The heap.
Reference types,
Stack and then the object type by the heap.
okay. So, but I mean, it's so in this case, when we write code, okay, where do we write reference types? There's a I'll give you a
The
top
reference
tip.
type on the left.
Okay, so we have something like this. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to say I've got, so let's see. So I've got a artist. Okay, and then we do this, and then I say new. Okay, I don't know. Who's an artist? We could use something like, I don't know. I don't know. Let's just say rapper. I don't know. You're gonna give me names now. Okay. So looking at this, okay, I have this one. This is a reference type. Okay, the reference type is artist. Okay, and then I have an object type which is rapper. Okay, so if this code compiles, okay, what can you tell me? And this is where you need to this is, I think, something you need to learn, okay? If this code compile, what can you tell me?
Rapper is an artist.
Okay, you tell me rapper is an artist, okay? So rapper is an artist. Okay, that's good. What does that mean in Java code? There are two options here.
It means that rapper is extending artist.
Okay, so rapper extends artist. Okay, so what you're telling me is that rapper is a subclass.
Yes, and artist is a superclass.
Subclass of artist. Okay, and you say rapper.
And rapper has all the properties of artist.
Rapper is the superclass. Okay, and what do you say? Rapper can
Has all the properties.
access which properties? All the
All the artist properties.
public or protected properties. I get rid of this. Okay, somebody's trying to get in. Wrapper can access all the public wrapper or protected properties of artist. Okay, you happy with that? So just by saying, so there's another option here. Okay, you told me that wrapper extends artist. Okay, what's the other option that you can tell me about this statement? If I tell you this, then I tell you this, compile.
Wrapper could be implementing artist.
Okay, so you're telling me artist could be an interface, okay? That wrapper is implementing, okay? Does that make sense?
Andre, can I ask a question, please?
Yeah.
So I ran into this yesterday. I wasn't really understanding it correctly. So can we instantiate new class objects using interface reference if it implements that interface?
I don't quite understand your question. Can you do what?
So looking at the last statement you said, so basically what I'm hearing is that classes can be referenced from an interface. Reference can be created using an interface reference if that class implements that interface.
Can we do what? Can you? Yeah. Okay. So that's. I think I'm hearing you correctly. So the important part is I can only use artist, or interface as a reference type if the actual object type implements that interface. Okay, and that's fundamental principle. Okay, so and that's very, very important. Okay, so in this case, so let's just quickly look at this. Okay, so objects, okay, they can be a reference or classes. I mean a class. Okay, class can be a reference and object type. Okay, and then what about an interface? Interface can only be what? A reference type. Well, that's probably 5 points in the OCA for you if you understand these concepts, if not more. What does this mean? Okay. Where
means
does
interfaces cannot be instantiated like objects.
Yes. Okay. What does that mean? Interfaces can't be instantiated. Okay. What does that mean?
You can't say interface, new
I can't say
interface, and
new interface. Okay. I can't do that. Okay. That is not a thing. Okay. Ever. Okay. That's never ever a thing. You can't do that. Okay, that's not a thing. Okay, but what we can do with the class is we can say class A, and then we can say new class. Okay, which is something we do all the time. Okay, we are using a class as a reference type and as an object type. Okay, so that is very, very, very important. Okay. And that was some of the things in the crowd quest yesterday. There was places where you try to instantiate, say, new interface, okay, and then you go happily ever after, and you say, yeah, that's all right, okay. So whenever you see something that's an interface and they say new, you should know, hey, you're trying to trick me, and you're not trickable, okay. Does that make sense? Or any questions about that? Any questions?
Oh yeah, Andrew, I do have a question as well.
Hmm?
It's about the heap and stack as well,
Yeah.
and inheritance.
Yes, we're gonna get to that, but ask your question.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, is it appropriate because it's still gonna go through? Let me just wait until we
Okay, so if I haven't answered your question, that's fine. Okay, so I just want to say, so now the thing is, so this is the thing. So the important part, interfaces is only always a reference type. Okay, never an object type. The other thing, there's also abstract classes. Okay, so abstract classes is kind of very similar to an interface. Okay, that they can also only be what? Be
Can only be reference types.
only be a reference type. Okay. Reference. I can't if I can just reference types. Okay. So they can't be instantiated. Okay. And the thing to a very large extent in Java 8, the difference between static classes or abstract class and interfaces is kind of fading, because in Java 8 they added the ability that you can add methods to your interface. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, so that's kind of an important thing to remember. Okay. Okay, so now, okay, now, okay. So now you're gonna help me with artists. Okay. Are you ready? We need artists. Okay. So artist will be our base class. Okay. And then what other music genres do we have? A rapper. A rapper. How funny is that? So we've got a rapper. Okay. And what else do we have? Uh-huh.
Hip hop.
Drill rap.
What's a good hip hop? What is the other one?
I'm a piano.
Trap.
I'm a piano. Okay, piano. What did you say?
Trap.
Kwaito. Okay, kwaito. Okay.
Trap music.
Okay. Is it trap like that?
Yes,
Okay.
trap.
Okay. So we
Capella.
okay. So are these types of artists? Okay. And
Those are genres. Those are genres of artists.
Okay,
Genres of music.
okay, so that's fine. Okay, so that's interesting. Okay, so but if we say let's look at artists. Okay, so what you're saying. Okay, so these are genres. Okay, so so rap. So then we say rap is a genre. So these are all genres. Okay. So let's quickly look at. So if we say artists. Okay. So give me a few artists quickly.
AKA.
Drake.
Sorry, Drake. Okay, Drake. Yeah. And then what's the other one? So give me like.
Lil Wayne.
Sorry, you need to say.
Lil Wayne.
How do I spell that?
Lil.
Lil.
Il. And then Wayne. Wayne.
Wayne. Like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Lil Baby.
Little baby. Okay. And some. Huh?
That's
Just like
LIL.
Lil Wayne. Lil.
Like this.
Yeah.
Is that just one artist or two artists?
Two different.
Two artists.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else?
DJ Maporisa.
Baby. The
For
baby.
DJ what?
DJ Maporisa.
Maporisa. How do I spell that?
Yes, it's right.
And then can you add the baby, please?
What baby?
The baby. DA.
DA.
Baby.
Like so.
Yeah. Yeah.
The baby. Okay, so who else? I need more. Kagiso's given a lot. I need somebody else to give me
Justin
more.
Bieber, Justin Bieber.
Aziz,
Ketronada.
huh?
Ketronada.
Okay, you'll need to spell that for me. Okay, you can't hear you properly. What?
K-A-Y.
K-A-Y
T. R.
T
A.
T.
R.
Yeah.
A.
A.
Nada. Nada.
Nada, like nothing.
Yeah.
Travis Scott.
Travis Scott. Okay. Okay. So these are okay. Travis Scott. Okay. So what we're gonna be? I'm just trying to think whether this will work well. Okay. So what we're basically gonna be saying is that we don't need so many, but I mean we're gonna have. So Drake is what kind of artist is Drake? Is that how would you do? Is it rap or hip hop? Is it hip hop?
Hip hop. Yeah.
Okay, and then we have
Hip hop. Rap. Yeah, rap.
Hip hop. Hip hop again.
so is it
No,
rap
it's
or
rap.
huh? Is it rap? But also
It's
has-
rap. It's rap.
is it? But I mean,
Yeah.
is it crossover or not?
Does everything actually.
He does everything. That's good.
Yeah,
that
that's fine. You can
that
cross them
works
over.
good for my example. Okay, this one
And then trap. Little baby's trap.
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 Yeah, and this one
And then
I'm a piano.
okay, and this one
trap rap.
trap rap
slash
rap
Yeah.
trap rap.
Yeah.
Justin Bieber,
Pop.
huh?
Pop and worship. Pop and worship.
There's no genre.
He does worship though.
There's no genre.
It's okay. It's okay. We don't have to be. And this one,
Electronic and house.
electronic, and slash house. Okay. And then Travis Scott,
He does trap. He does hip hop. He does rap.
trap, hip hop, and rap. Okay, good.
And rap.
Okay, good. Okay, this is going to work nicely. Okay, so this is gonna. So this is our classes. Okay, so what we're going to be having is we have an artist, and then we're going to have a class for each one of our artists. Okay, and then what we're going to be doing is. So we're going to start with that. And then the one thing, what do you know about inheritance in Java? What kind of inheritance do we support?
Subclasses. We support multiple state or type inheritance. I think it's type. State. Not sure.
So what kind of inheritance does Java support?
Supports I think single inheritance and also multiple level.
Sorry, single inheritance, okay.
Yeah, and also multi-level inheritance, if I'm
What?
saying it right.
Multi-level inheritance, what does that mean?
Where you will have a parent class but is having subclasses, a lot of subclasses, but those subclasses they also have their parent classes.
Yeah, so you only have single inheritance, so meaning one, you can only have like one superclass always, okay? So it's single inheritance, okay? Single inheritance, but it has multiple inheritance, okay? Or multiple inheritance via interfaces.
Andre, can I ask a question while you're on this matter?
Uh-huh.
So what is meant by multiple type inheritance and multiple state inheritance? What is meant by the two and what's the difference?
I'm not sure. I don't know what that is, to be honest. So where did you see that?
always have it in like in the box, in the empty way, everywhere. So it's either like multiple type or multiple state inheritance. State and type, basically.
I don't know. I'll have to see the question. I mean, you really should multiple type, multiple state. I don't know. I've never heard of it, so I don't know what you mean by that. So the thing is, I mean, the reference type. I mean, so we will look into that now. So let's. Yeah, so I don't know. I'll have to see the question. So if you can find the question for me, that'll be very useful. But the concept doesn't make sense to me per se. So yeah. Okay. So this is the important part. So inheritance, single inheritance. Okay. So in this case, so maybe at this point in time, it might be easier for us to actually just write a bit of code. Okay. In IntelliJ. So let's see. Where do we want to write this code? Okay, so I'm gonna go here. So I am gonna Control S. So we are gonna look into inheritance based on what is this? Okay, this is not something I want. So I can put the code here for now. It's sitting on the other side. I was already busy doing something here. Okay, so let me just see Java, new file, and then we want to say workshop.java. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. I'm aware that you can't see my screen at the moment, but we want to. Okay, so I'm going to put a main method here. Okay, so I'm going to show you my screen. Okay, so what we're going to be having now, and we're going to look at the code, and then ultimately, so we're going to create. So we have this. Can you all see my screen? Okay, so I've got a class artist. Okay, and then what does the artist do? Okay, for now, it performs. Okay, are you happy with that?
Yep.
Okay, so in this case, we have an artist performing, and in its most basic form, I never know which one is where. This out, I just have a perform songs. Okay, so that's kind of what an artist does. Okay, so in this case, perform a song, and then where was our artists? Okay, so what I'm going to do now is we had Drake, Lil Wayne, and Lil Baby. So I will copy these ones. I'll start with these three. They give us a lot of. Okay, can't I copy from here? Control C. Let me see if I can paste here. Yes. Okay. So I'm gonna say class Drake. Okay. Extends artist. Okay, and then these ones I'm gonna say. And then I'm going to have these two. So then we're going to have this one. Control V, Control V. So now I've got a Lil Wayne. Okay, Control V. And then I have a Lil Baby. Okay. So now we have that. So we say, so now we want to say here perform. Okay, we're overriding that. And we are saying Control C. So when we perform in this case, we're going to say sys out, and then we're going to say Drake doing some hip hop. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay, and then we need to fix these two. Okay, so now we have this one is Lil Wayne, and he's doing what? What is he doing? Rap. Okay, and then the last one is little baby. How can I come up with their names? This guy is probably not small, is he? Or is he small?
Nope.
He's not small.
No, we're not too sure. We wouldn't really know, but yeah.
We don't know. We listen to people we can't see. Yeah. Okay. So now we have this. Okay. So now I have a hierarchy. So I'm doing inheritance. Okay. So Drake is an artist. So little Wayne is an artist, and little baby is an artist. Okay. So what I can do now is for Drake. Okay. So if I do this, okay, if I do something like this, I say new Drake, okay, what is happening on the heap?
A new Drake object is created.
A new Drake object is created, okay. So if I do this, how many Drake objects are created?
3.
3, okay. And then by the time I get to line 35, okay, how many objects are eligible for garbage collection?
0.
0.
Yeah.
Somebody say 0, somebody say 3.
Some people say 3. I say 0 because, as far as I'm concerned, garbage collection doesn't occur only when an object points to null.
And there's no reference point.
Yeah, so there's no reference to it. Okay, so at this point, I'm not saying will be garbage collected because a garbage collector will run at kind of different times. Okay, we can actually force a garbage collector. That's actually quite interesting. I could show it to you. But so in this point in time, there's 3 objects that's getting garbage collected. Okay, that's Duke. Okay, so the 3 things go onto the heap. By the end of this, things are doing this. So if I do something like the following, okay, so now I say Drake and I say D, okay, and then if I say Drake D, D2, and I say D3, okay, so if I say something like this is equal to D1, D1 is equal to D2. What's going on now? How many objects are on the heap?
One object, but 3 references to it.
Okay, so one object, how many is on the stack?
3.
3,
But
okay.
Yes.
Cool. Okay, so let's draw that visually. Let's see what's cooking here. Okay. So where is this thing? Let me go to this. Okay. So in this case now, if we draw ourselves, so I've got, so this is my heap. I'm creating a new heap here. And then let me create, I mean, that's my stack actually. This is my heap. Okay, so in this case, what's happening is so I've got D1, the type is Drake. Let's see, I've been writing some C#, Control C, Control V, Control V, okay. So in this case, on the stack, we're gonna have this, okay. So 2, 2, 3, okay. And then on the, let's just see, on the heap, okay, let's change the color to blue. So now we create this. So on here, we are creating one Drake. So this is Drake, okay. Okay. So we say new Drake, okay. So now we have 3 of these pointing to there. So we could, this one could point, they all point to the same. a point here, and this last one also points there. Okay. Okay. So now we've got 3 of them that all point to the same thing. Okay. So one object on the heap. So now if I do the following, if I go here and I say D3 is new Drake. Okay. Okay. So now what we want to say is, so what's happening now? What happened here now? What happened on the heap?
We have a second object now and of Drake.
Okay, so we have kind of this one, Control C, Control V there. Okay, we put this one here. And now this third one, okay, no longer points there, it points there. Okay. Okay, makes sense. 2 objects on the heap, 1 on the stack. No, 2 on the heap, 3 on the stack. Okay. If I want to make this object eligible for garbage collection, drag this one. Okay, what do I need to do? I need to delete that reference. I delete that reference. Okay, how do I delete the reference in code? What do I do?
Set it to null.
Yeah, so I say D1 is equal to null. And then I say D2 is equal to null. Okay. Or I can say D2 is equal to D1. Okay. I mean, probably something like this. So now when I'm doing this on the stack, then this object that I had on the heap has got nothing linked to it now. Okay. And then as soon as a garbage collector run, it will be removed off the heap. Okay. And then ultimately these ones will, as a method go out of scope, they will also be deleted off the stack. Okay. So now, okay, so looking at this, okay, what is valid reference types for Drake? What is a Drake object? A Drake object can be an object, okay?
Or can be artist.
Okay, so as an object, okay, Control C, Control V, or it can be a artist, okay? So this one thing, okay, can be a reference type of any 3 of these. It can either be an object, an artist, or a Drake itself, okay? So that means, looking at this code, okay, so that means that I can make this one an object, okay? So I can have an object here, okay? So let me just comment this out, okay? So I can, this is valid. A Drake can be an object, okay? It can be an artist. It can be an artist like this, D2, D3, object artist, or Drake, okay? That's all valid, okay? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so if I want to make D1, so if I do this, okay, I will get the error. Okay, how can I fix that? Can D1 be casted into an artist? So now I can do something like this, okay? And that's fine, okay? And then now if I want to take D2, okay, and I want to cast that into Drake, what do? I say Drake, okay? And all's happy, okay? Looking at this, how many objects is on the heap now? How many objects on the heap?
Just
Well, one.
Just one, okay? Because it's only one new statement,
Yeah, 'cause
okay?
that means crazy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But the reference types, okay, so what I said is initially the reference type. So if we're looking at this here, so let's get a visual on that on the screen. Okay, so what we had initially, we had this one and we made this one an object, okay? So because initially I know Drake is actually an object, okay? Because a class is always an object, okay? So it can be referenced by object, okay? So in this case, it's valid for this object to reference this thing here, okay? As valid as it is, so this one here is the artist, okay? Okay, so as valid it is for this artist to reference that, okay? So all three of these is possible, okay? So if I'm going to be running this code, okay, and I say the following. So if I say D1 instance of Drake, okay, is that going to be true or false?
True.
True.
Okay, and if I say D2 is instance of Drake, true or false?
I think false because artist isn't Drake, but Drake is an artist.
Okay, but I mean, so so D2, okay, so this is kind of now underlyingly, okay, when it's checking the type, okay, it's not checking the stack, okay, it's checking the heap, okay, and on the heap, what is D2?
D2 is still pointing to Drake object.
Oh, it's Drake.
Okay, so let's run this and see. This is the first time we run our code here. So let's run this and see what it does, okay? Okay, and you see it's all true, okay? It's all true because they all are an instance of Drake, okay? So the same thing is also true for anything in their hierarchy, okay? So if I were to say object, okay? Okay, I'm checking that, and I'd also check that they are an artist, okay? Okay? So let's see. So what is this going to print? Is Drake an object?
Yes.
Okay, so in this case, that is what it's having. Okay, let's run this. So in my books, it should all be true, okay? Which it is, okay? All true. Okay? Happiness. Okay, so now I'm saying, hey man, I don't want to listen to Drake anymore, okay? What was one of our other ones? It was Lil somebody, Lil Baby.
Little Wayne. Little Wayne.
Little Wayne. You want Little Wayne. Little Wayne. Okay, now we want Little Wayne. Okay, and I say, hey man, let me take my Drake, okay, and let me make this Little Wayne. Okay, will this work? Can I do this? So assuming the code compiles, okay, if I run it, what do you expect? Will be okay or not?
Andre, can I just add this out there? I know it's something important. I have to put it out there. So technically speaking, Drake is supposed to be a subclass of Lil Wayne because Drake is actually Lil Wayne's apprentice. But, I thought it was something fun just to put it out there.
Yeah. Okay, but in our case, okay. So what's going to happen based on our class hierarchy? So Drake is an artist, Little Wayne is an artist, but is Drake Little Wayne?
No.
No.
Okay. Okay, so if we run this, what do you expect to happen? What's going to happen? So if we run this, what are we getting? Class cast exception, okay? Because what we are saying here, so if we look at, go back to our visual, okay? So here, so in this case, so now what was our object variable? What's it called? We called it something. We called it. Oh man, this thing is always interfering with me. Can you see my sky bar or my zoom bar there or not? I don't know if people can see it if I share my screen, but it's.
No, we can't see the zoom bar.
You can't see it's a zoom bar, but it's sitting there. It's like annoying. Okay, so I said L1. Okay, so the zoom bar. It sounds like a place you can go for a drink. The zoom bar. It's like the doom bar. Okay, so I did this one. Okay, Control C, Control V. We created a new object on the heap. Okay, and then we're going to stack. We call it L1, and that was Little Wayne. Okay, and then what we did is we tried to do the following. Okay, I'm actually trying to do this, and this is like very important. Okay, so I'm pointing to this thing. Okay, I'm trying to point to this thing. Okay, but it can't point to that thing because the thing you're pointing to is not what? It's never, ever, ever Little Wayne. Okay, can you see there? It can be Drake, it can be an object, it can be an artist, but it can never, ever be Little Wayne. Okay, does that make sense? So in this case, so what I would need to do for that to work is what? I would actually need to instantiate an object there. I would need to create new Little Wayne. Okay, so if we go here, so what I actually need is so in this case, let me just copy these. So these are all part of one thing. Okay, let me just copy it for now. I need to do some Control C, Control V. I'm going to move this one up. So I'm going to say here, this one is new Lil Wayne. Okay. So Little Wabe. Okay, and then in this case, let's give him a different color, not that color, we're already using it. I don't want to use it red, red is so aggressive, but anyway, we'll go for red for now. So now I've got this Little Wayne. So Little Wayne is an object, it's also artist, okay? And now what I can do is Little Wayne here can point here, okay? And how many objects do I have on my heap now? How many classes? Object instances I've got? How many? 2, okay? So what I could do now is D2, okay? So D2 can actually point to Little Wayne, okay? Do you agree? It can do that because Little Wayne is actually an artist, okay? So I can reuse this one and point to Little Wayne instead of Drake, okay? And this object can also point here because underlyingly, Little Wayne is actually an object. Okay, but Little Wayne, okay, let's have a look. So the thing, you see, okay, so yeah, now everything is fine. So yeah, so things can, so reference type can only point to object types if that object type is a type of the reference type. Yo, that's a mouthful. Any questions at this point?
Wait, can you say it again? It didn't process.
So so a reference type, okay? So in this case, a reference type can only point to an object type if that object type is of the type of the reference type, okay? So I can only point to an object on the heap that is Little Wayne, okay? If I'm Little Wayne, okay? If I'm an artist, I can point to any object that is an artist. And in this case, any object can always point to any object in the heap because all object type is always an object. So object can hold anything, be a reference type to anything.
So Andrew, what you are saying, you are saying that when you are saying object, so you can say object, new artist, object, new Drake, and object, new the third one.
Yes, absolutely. So let's do that. So I'm saying object new Drake, okay? And then I can say object. So let's do this. So let's say object. So O2, okay? So here's the deal. Okay, so I say object 2 is Drake, and then I say object 2, object 2, and I can say new Lil Wayne, okay? So that's totally valid, okay? So to be able to do something like this, okay? And now the deal is, okay? Because on the, if I say the following, okay? So if I say 001 instance of Drake, okay? What is that going to be? True or false? True or false?
Yeah, it's gonna be true.
It's going to be true, okay? So what that's telling me is that if that's true, it means I can do the following, okay? It means that I can take Drake, okay, D1, and I can say object 1, and I can say, make me, cast me into a Drake object, okay? Because the Drake object, it's already a Drake object on the heap, okay? Now I'm just saying, I'm pointing to you with a Drake object, okay? And then I can use you. Okay. So as if this instance is true, and I mean I can cast Drake back, I can do D1, okay, and I can cast that back into an artist, so that's a valid thing to do. And I can say artist. Okay, that's a valid thing to do. And I can also cast it back into an object. So I can also say go back. So I can navigate up and down the object graph basically. And that's all because originally on the heap it is actually already a Drake. Okay, I can't just cast things into things that aren't. Okay. Any questions at this point in time? Vuyani, did I answer your question yet or not?
So Andre,
Almost.
Okay. Okay, I'll get you now. Okay, Sivu?
Because no, Andre.
Yeah. Okay, Vuyani.
Huh?
Yeah. Go.
My question was that Andre. It was that if you had like two classes and they had maybe some methods and
Yes.
method in the other class, maybe it has or the parent class has private local variables, and the subclass is inheriting the method from the class that has private field variable. Like how does that work on the heap? Will the subclass inherit the method that has private?
I mean, so no, the
field variable,
subclass. So
or
subclasses
even not
can
at all?
the subclass can never access private anything. Okay, it can only access instance of protected methods or public methods or variables. Okay, it can't access private variables at all. So that's something to remember.
Yeah, but I was just on how it would look on the heap,
on
like,
the heap.
and the stack. Like how will the memory handle it?
What are you talking about?
Please.
So
I
would,
mean, like under like will the subclass be able to? I know that the subclass won't be able to inherit those methods because they are private.
yeah.
But I just want to know how that works on the memory. How
What the private?
if I were to draw it, the private. Let's say Andre, you have a field variable, and then you create a constructor, which is the parent class, and then on the subclass, the subclass inherits that constructor method.
Yeah.
Like how I want to know how it would look like on the heap.
So I mean, so I mean, so on the heap. Okay, so if say for instance a class. So if we look at something like this, okay, I'll create a concept. So let's see. I don't know if this kind of thing. So say if it's like do something like this. Okay, I'm creating a concert class. Okay, and to keep it simple, I'm basically saying at the moment that a specific artist is performing there. Okay, so I don't think it's exactly what you're asking, but it's kind of related. Okay, so so the artist. So we do something like this, and this will leads us into polymorphism now, actually. But we will look at what's happening on the stack and the heap. So in this case, so if I have an artist here, and then a concert, what happens at a concert? Is it perform? I don't know. Concert, what method does it have? I don't know. They just say, what do you call it? I don't know. I mean, so let's just call it like that. We already have a perform method. Let's just kind of go. What is artist? I do perform, okay. But anyway, so I'll call it perform again, just for the lack of a better something. So what I'm saying now is I say artist dot perform, okay. So what we're doing now in this case is what is this? What kind of a field is this? A local variable, or what's a variable is this?
It's an instance.
Okay, so in this case, so the instance variable, okay. So what we're having is that this variable is going to be on the heap, okay. And then in this case, so we have this. So what's going to happen now? So if I now go and I say I've got a concert, okay, got concert here, and I say new concert, okay, and I am saying, okay, so I say in this case, so let me just kind of do these, okay. I'm quite excited about this little example. So we have Drake, okay. So we have Drake here, Drake, okay. And I say new Drake, okay. And then I need to say Drake, okay, and then I say C dot perform, okay. So now let's look and see what happened. Okay, so in this case, what happened now is we actually have the following. Okay, so now, so I'm gonna so what's actually happening now is we're gonna create a new entry on the heap, which is the concert, okay. And for the time being, I'm just gonna say now concert, okay, is referencing what? Concert is actually referencing Drake, okay. And then in this case, Drake isn't actually, okay, so in the way this works at the moment, we started off with one Drake object, then we had a concert here. I think we had it something like this. We had C, okay. So now we have C, and then we had all of these ones we don't have anymore. I like the fact that it's deleting the links when I'm deleting the thing. Okay, so concert now is going to point here, okay. So now we have this. Again, this is getting garbage collected now, okay. So now we have this, okay. So now we have the concert pointing to Drake, okay. So then now, even if I now go and I say Drake is equal to null, okay. So even if we do that, okay, and these are the kind of questions I ask you, and then you think like, what will happen if they do these things, okay? So what will happen now is that this Drake here, that link will be broken, but because that reference has already been set, the concert knows the artist that's performing, okay? So in this case, okay, so if I now run my method, if I run this, okay, so then you will see that Drake doing some hip hop, okay? So that is kind of what's happening, okay? So now what I can do now is I could actually change this to be an artist, okay? Instead of Drake. What will happen now if I do this? Any changes? Anything will happen differently? And this is the essence of polymorphism, okay? So now I'm running this. So now you'll see nothing's different, okay? What I can do now, though, is I can do something like this, okay? So my concert doesn't know anything about the specific type, okay? It just knows about artists, okay? So if I run this, what is going to be printing out? So if I run this, it's going to be little baby performs from some trap, okay? So what we're basically saying is something like the following, okay? So I can have an artist, okay? So I can have artist 1, artist 2, okay? And artist 3, okay? And then I can have, what can I have here? I can have Drake. And then I can, what's the other one called?
Little Wayne.
Little Wayne. It's not Wonder Baby. I thought it was Little Wayne. I thought it was Wonder Baby or something like that. Okay, so now I've got 3 artists, okay? So what I can do with those artists, okay? So now, artist 1, okay? Dot perform, okay? So now I'm doing something like this, perform, okay? Artist 2, artist 3, okay? So what on the flying pig is going on here? If I run this, what's going to happen? What is it going to print?
It's gonna, Java,
Huh?
Yeah.
it's gonna print the perform method for each of them.
Okay, so it print the perform method for each of them. So let's just add a little one at the bottom here. So if I do this one and I say artist, okay, if I run this, okay, so if I run them, okay, so now we're running this, okay, see, so now Drake, so they're all artists, okay, but they're calling the actual perform method on the object that's sitting in the heap, okay, and on the heap there is this one is Drake, this one is little baby, this one is little Wayne, okay, and so forth. So if I were to add, what was your other one of your other artists? Let me just check.
Travis Scott. famous
Travis Scott, okay. So if I say something like the following, okay, I say Travis Scott extends artist, okay, artist, okay. So now if I do this, a 5, and then I go here and I say perform 5. What will it print for Travis Scott now? What will it print for perform? Okay, so it does the same perform songs. Why? Because Travis Scott hasn't actually implemented or overridden the perform method. Okay, so it doesn't have a perform method of its own. It's going up the chain and then it's, oh, artist has a perform method. Okay, so if I now go and I do this, okay, I delete Travis Scott here, you will see here that I can't do this. Okay, why doesn't line 70 compile?
It's no longer a subclass of artist.
Okay, so I can't use it as a reference type. Okay, I can't use artist. What I can do though is I can use object. Okay, but now all of a sudden it doesn't have a perform method anymore because object doesn't have a perform method. Okay, so but if I go and I say, hey, I say Travis, I do artist. Okay, and now I go here. And I say Travis Scott, okay, he's an artist, 5. So now what I can do is I can say here, Travis Scott perform. So what music does Travis Scott makes? What did you say? Huh?
Trap, hip hop.
Trap hip hop. Trap hip hop. Okay. But now it all works out. Okay. Cool. Any questions? Siva, you had a question earlier which we didn't address.
Yeah, I had a question where you had artist is equal to new Drake, and then O1, I think it was O1. There were objects. Okay, yeah, there object O1 is equal to new Drake, and then you have Drake D1 is equal to, and then you're casting to it. Is it an explicit cast? Do we have to cast there? Can't we just say it's equal to O1 since O1 is equal to new Drake?
So in this case, so you see, so the reference, so in this case, if I want to do Drake, okay, Drake D1, and I want to say that's equal to artist, okay. So in this case, I'll need to cast up, Okay. So I would need to say, hey, I'm an artist. If you want to make me a Drake, you need to cost. Okay.
Okay.
And then,
Oh,
so
so
yeah.
what? It looks at the reference. So it
Yeah.
checks what reference artist one.
Yeah. What do you want? So you say, I'm an artist, but because I'm a Drake, you should be able to cast me in. But the other option is if you were to say object, and you say 003, and then I say 01, okay? So then what does it say? Cannot resolve variable.
Oh,
Okay, so,
so
and now D1, okay? So now if you cast up, you don't have to cast, okay? If you cast down, you need to. If you cast up, you don't have to. Always have to concentrate there. Vuyo.
So
Yeah, sorry. Okay. Yeah.
if it's a superclass reference, I mean, assigned to a subclass, and then you don't have to cast.
Yeah. It's in this case, a superclass, you don't have to cast. If you want to do a subclass, then you need to cast.
Okay. Okay, I understand.
Okay. Yanni, did you actually address your question or not yet quite?
Oh yeah, it did. And you see, when you reference Travis Scott, the object,
Yeah.
that's when I understood that it was able to work because object was still in the heap. So that's
Okay.
how
Uh-huh.
that's how it works in the heap, because that's the part I wanted to understand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Okay. Any questions at this point you want to clarify? Okay. So what we have is okay, let me just see. Sorry, I'm just going to put it there. Okay, so that was again. So the heap in the stack. So does that make sense? And see how it works. And can you see why it's foundational for casting and everything? Because you can never be something you've never been on the heap. So what you are on the heap determines what you can cast into. Okay. So now, so let's do the following. So now what we basically want to do is we want to say, so the reference type, the other thing to remember is that the reference type determine what's visible on the actual object type, okay? So sometimes you get this question in the OCA. So let's quickly do the following, okay? So what's the song? Give me a song name for Drake, song that he sings.
Do not disturb. Do not disturb.
Okay. So you can do this one, do not disturb, okay? So now Drake sing this one, okay? So now he say sing, okay? Do not disturb, okay? So Little Wayne one.
How to love.
Sorry?
How
What are you
to
saying?
love.
What Kuma, what are you saying? I want some lollipop. Huh?
Yes, lollipop.
Okay. Okay, so in this case now we want to say here sys out, and we want to say Little Wayne singing, yeah, lollipop. Okay, so we do this. Okay, lollipop. Okay. So now we can go here. We want to say here. Can you already see my spelling mistake? Singing. And here we want to say Drake. 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 Okay, so now we have this, okay? So this is now, so when we have these two methods going onto the heap, okay? So on the lowest level, okay, they each have a method of its own, okay? So what will happen now, so if I go to my code now, okay, and I say artist, so let's just say I say Drake, okay. Let's start a little bit from the beginning. And we say Drake, and we say Drake equals new Drake, okay. Then I can say Drake dot sing do not disturb, okay. Terrible, because what I need to do is I need to make sure that class name method name starts with lowercase. Okay, so we just say sing. Okay, so if I run this, okay, that's kind of Drake singing do not disturb, okay. What's going to happen if I do this? Very valid statement, okay, like this. So now the reference type is artist, okay. Artist doesn't have a sing do not disturb method, okay. For me to be able to call this on there, I first need to take this thing, I need to cast it to Drake, okay, and then I can actually call that method. So I can do something like that, and that's valid, okay. So if the reference type is not this, okay, that won't work, okay. So if I have a new artist now, what's the other one we have? The other was a Little Wayne. So was it Little Baby or Little Wayne? I don't know which one we had. But to put the thing on, was it Little Baby? Little Wayne. Oh, Little Wayne. And then I say Lil Wayne equal new Drake. That will never compile, okay? Because Little Wayne is not the same type as Drake, okay? So I have Little Wayne, okay? So now I have Little Wayne dot sing lollipop, okay? And then I have Drake. In this case, I do Drake doing that, okay? So now, if I run this, both of them will sing their own song. Okay? Drake and sing do not disturb. So both of them can sing their own song. But an artist, okay, if I make these both artists, that method is not visible because that method is not visible if I use a reference type of artist because that sits on Drake or whatever, okay? If I want to give them the ability to sing, I'll need to create a method on artist that's got the same name they both need to implement so that they can both sing a song. So the important thing is the reference type determines which methods are callable on the actual object, and only the objects that lives in the reference type. This is like very, 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 very important. Again, they ask you this question in the OCAs all the time, okay? So I can only call the perform method or any other methods that's on object, okay? Unless I'm here Then I can call the perform method add sig do not disturb. So that's like very, very, very important. The reference type determines which methods are callable. Does that concept make sense? Any questions at this point?
So if the reference type is Drake, you can only call the methods that are on Drake class only.
Sorry, so say that again.
I'm saying, I'm asking if the reference type is Drake, so does that mean that you can only see the methods that are on Drake class only?
Well, no, then you can see Drake or anything below that, artist and whatever, okay? But in this case, there's no method. So the artist, so if there was a method here, so if the reference type is Drake, then you can call anything in artist and below. And the same for artist, anything in below. Okay, so say if there was another method here that is, I don't know, what does the artist do? What can we add here? Artist perform.
Dance.
Sorry, dance. Okay, well let's just say sign or signature. Okay. Okay, so in this case you can say sys out. Okay, sign give signature. Give signature. Okay. So we don't know who's giving it, but we know an artist can give it. Okay, so whenever you're an artist now, okay, so if you go down, so whenever you're an artist, you can now give your signature. And then what you can do is you could actually now, so what Drake can do, Drake can kind of signature. So you can override this and say, okay, so we can do something like this, okay? So we have a signature method on Drake, but because that sits in artist, if the reference type is actually artist, okay, so in this case, if I say Drake.signature, and if I say, so now I can access signature because signature sits on artist, okay? For Drake, it will call actually the signature method on Drake because Drake has a signature. Lil Wayne, it will call the signature method on artist because it doesn't have a method. So if I run this, you'll see Drake is signing and this one is just giving a signature. So does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Who did you put there? Was that like Little Wayne? Who's this guy that you put there, Amar?
Me, put way.
You put in Slack. You put like a picture.
Oh, that's the baby, I think.
That's a baby, a little baby. Excellent, excellent. Any questions at this point? And they're asking you this like all the time. Okay, they give you some object graph, and then they're asking you, okay, which methods will be callable? Okay, they love that question. They want to make sure you understand how this object graph is working properly. What's callable when? And as I say, the reference type determines which methods are callable. The object type determines in what reference type you can cast into. And as you cast into another one, you see now, if I was Drake here, so if in this case, if I say Drake dot, I've got no sing method here, okay? But if I now do Drake, okay, Drake, and I do Drake, and I do something like this, and now I need to cast casting down, I need to say Drake. Okay, so if we run that, now if I go to Drake or .Drake, now I can call the sing method because now I'm actually Drake and Drake has a sing method. Okay. But the thing that I can't do is I can't do and make Little Wayne a Drake because it was never a Drake in the first place. So this will give me a compilation error. So now Drake, what? Okay, so now that's fine, but if I run the code, we'll get a class cast exception because it will say that it can't make cannot be Little Wayne cannot be cast to class Drake, okay? Because it is not that. Little Wayne is not Drake. Okay. Any questions at this point? Kind of in the home stretch for now, I think. Any questions at this point? Okay, so the other thing now that we want, so interfaces, okay? So let's quickly look at this, okay? So now we want to create some interfaces, okay? And you'll see that interfaces has the benefit that one class can implement many interfaces, okay? So now we have, let's do an interface called hip hop, okay? And then what if you do this, you do hip hop, okay? Hip hop, okay? So now I do this and then I just say sys out. Okay, now I can't have, okay, that's interesting, okay? Well, you can actually, okay, so hip hop, okay? So now, what do we have? Hip hop, we had rap. So now we're just going to say rap, and then you had trap, is that right? And then we have trap, okay? So now what else did we have? Hip hop, rap, trap, hip hop. I think that will cover everything. So now we've got these three interfaces, okay? And what I can do in an interface these days, okay, I can actually implement a default method, okay, that does this, sys out, and then I just say doing some hip hop, okay? So I can do this. I can create a default here to do that, okay? So that means if I going to Drake, okay, and I say implements hip hop, okay, nothing needs to happen, okay, because that method has already been implemented here. For instance, if I go here now and I say implements trap on Little Wayne, let's go to Little Wayne, okay. So if I go to let's just do Little Baby and I say trap, okay. So now I need to implement these methods from this interface, okay. So now so now we want to do this and we want to say this is trap by what's trap like? Was it similar to what? To rap or whatever?
It's similar to rap, but it's just more of the same word being repeated constantly.
Is it? Okay. Okay, this is trap, okay. So now we can do the same thing. So if we go to, so Little Wayne, so the thing for interface is to note, so here said Little Wayne, he's doing two things, okay? He is doing hip hop, okay? But we also say hip hop, okay? And because we've got that default method, we don't have to do anything, okay? And the other one is wrap, okay? So now wrap, I need to implement its own method. So now we want to say here sys art. We want to say wrap some wrap by Little Wayne. Okay. Cool. Okay. So now we have all of these interfaces, okay, that we have here. Okay. So now I've got rap, hip hop, and all these things. Okay. So now the thing to note is soon as I have this, okay, now I could potentially use some of these interfaces as a reference type, okay? So I could now go and I could say, let's see, hip hop, okay? Hip hop equals new Drake. Does Drake do hip hop? Seemingly it does because I can do this, okay? And now I can say hip hop dot hip hop, okay? So now I can run that and it should run the default method on the interface. What? Compiler compliance specified, I don't know. Hip hop is already defined. Interface hip hop. What am I doing wrong? Where did I define hip hop? Someone is telling me that I already defined it. Control C, Control find, Control V. Oh, I think it's one of my other endeavors that I was doing here. Okay, so I already had an interface here. Okay, don't worry about that. So that's better now. So now I should be able to run this. And it's telling me doing some hip hop. So if I do, so if I say hip hop instance of Drake, okay, is this true or false? Can I do this? Hip hop instance of Drake. So if my reference type is hip hop, what is my type on the heap?
Good Drake.
So okay, so is this true or false?
It's true.
True, okay. So let's do this, okay. I'm running this. Okay, so that's true, okay. The only methods I can call on here is hip hop dot hip hop, okay. That's the only valid method I can call, okay. If I want to call more methods, I need to go and cast Drake equals, and then I'm going to take hip hop, and then I'm going to cast that to a Drake, okay, which is kind of possible because underlyingly it was a Drake anyway. Okay, so what I could actually do now as well is I can create, who's the other hip hop? We have another hip hop, don't we? So I can now go, I can say, I can create a hip hop array, okay? I can say hip hops, okay? And I can say new, and then I can do something like this, and I can say new Drake. Who was my other hip hop artist? Was it Little Wayne or Little Baby?
Little baby, little baby, little Wayne.
Little Baby. Okay. Little Bassy. Little Baby. Okay. No. Seemingly Little Wayne. So Little Wayne. Okay, so as you can see now, so what is going on here? Okay, now we can just do this. Okay, so now I've created a new array full of hip hops. Okay, and then if I want to go here and I want to say new little baby, okay, that doesn't work. But what can I do to fix this? To actually create a list of array list of these people here. I can actually create the array of artists because they all are artists. Okay, so that's something to watch out for. Okay, any questions at this point? Any questions? Okay, any questions at this point?
It makes sense, Andre.
So okay.
Just
Okay.
I didn't
Sorry?
know. Zola thought I was talking to him.
Okay,
Didn't
good.
notice that I was talking to you.
Okay. So this way is the thing to note is again they're gonna give you something like this, and they're gonna try and do something like this. They can say hip hop dot perform, okay, and then they're gonna give you code like this, and they're gonna ask you, what does this code print, okay? And then one of the options will be Drake, whatever Drake is, it will be like doing this. I guarantee you're at least going to get one or two questions like this, at least, okay, in whatever shape or form, okay? But then, because Drake, the reference type doesn't have this method, you can't access it, okay? You can only access the methods on the object type via the reference type that's existing in the reference type, okay? And the other thing to note is also polymorphism. It will call the right method in the reference type if it has one of those, okay? It won't use the one in the in the object type, not in the reference type. So if the reference type has a specific method, like in our case, having a perform method on the artist and there's a perform one on Drake, it will call Drake's one. It won't call the one in the artist. If I want to call the one in the artist, then I can do something like this. I can say super dot perform, okay, and that will work. But yeah, cool. Okay, so that was like, I mean, that was quite a long thing. So I just want you to share with me share one thing that started to make sense in this session. So maybe something you know about, but during the session it made more sense than before. I hope there's something like that, but something that made more sense, or maybe something was clarified, or something new you've learned. So just want to have that, something that made more sense, maybe a concept that's clearer now than it was before. So just share that concept that makes more sense now than before. Just kind of share that with me. Put up your hand.
put our
Yeah, put your hands up, please. Okay, how many hands do we have? Do we have all the hands? Okay, I'm just waiting for Sinevuyo, Salizwa. Don't know if you have anything. Salizwa, can you hear us? Salizwa, I don't know if you can hear us. One thing that made more sense now. It's clearer now than what it was before. Okay. Shaul, can we start with you? Sinakaya.
Yes, well, for me, Andre, it wasn't something new, but just something which was nailed more in. It was the fact that a reference type dictates which methods you can access. So yeah, I think that's what we were actually going deep into the last part of the session. And I select Melissa.
Okay, so just put your hand down, Melissa. Melissa, can you hear us?
Sinovia can go.
Okay.
I don't mind going, Andre. Can I go in the meantime?
Yeah, Sinevuyo, go quickly.
Sinovuyo or Vuyo?
Sinevuyo. Sinu.
Oh,
Sinevuyo.
Okay. Good day, guys. What I learned today, it's not something new though. I learned that object can interfaces can be instantiated, and I also learned that if an ob- if a reference, yeah, I don't know how to put it.
Try. It's fine.
Um, like if a reference does. Okay, let me write it down.
Okay. Are you writing it in the chat the way you're writing it?
I think I'll write it on the chat because I can't find the words to it. Yeah, I can't find words to it.
Okay. So with your first one,
And
okay.
then,
Yeah, you can nominate.
Okay, I nominate KG.
Yes. So what I learned today was and I think this is kind of actually brushed off and added onto my knowledge, is that if objects point to null, they're eligible for garbage collection. But an object without a reference type is also eligible for garbage collection. That's what I learned today.
Yeah.
Wait,
Oh,
sorry.
can I?
I'm sorry, Andre. I was gonna say what KG said.
What did you say? Which is what? Say it for yourself. So, Kuma?
Okay, objects pointing to a null or without a reference type are eligible for garbage collection.
Yeah, so the important thing to note is objects, I mean, things on the heap, I mean, on the stack, they're null. I mean, they go out of scope and then they get, so they're not really getting garbage collected. Things on the heap get garbage collected. So the second part of your statement is true. The fact
Oh,
that if there's no reference to it, then it gets garbage collected.
oh, okay, thank you.
Okay, good. Who's next?
Can I go?
Yeah, yeah, Melissa is fine. She can hear us now, yeah?
Okay. For me today, the whole concept of initialization got made more clearer, and what I've learned is that a class can be a reference and an object type, and as for a interface, it can only be a reference type.
Okay.
Therefore, I'll nominate Vuyo.
Good afternoon, everyone. Again, for me, I learned more about auto boxing, where you auto box an integer and an int without using that keyword of string value of or int value of, but just taking the integer keyword as a box and then unboxing it using the integer, like the int keyword. Yeah, like how that numeric type wrapper encapsulates the value and then extracts it afterwards, you know. And the reverse as well. If you have an int and then you box it inside the integer keyword.
Okay.
Yeah, and I would nominate Zola. Zola Makam, I nominate you.
Zola, if you nominated, you're it.
Good afternoon, guys. I think it's not really something new, but it's about the interfaces where only default or static methods can have bodies. So yeah, that's what you confirmed for me, and you actually implemented how certain classes that implement those methods they don't have to call those methods because the class already has the implementation of it.
The interface already,
Yeah.
yes. Okay.
Yeah. So I nominate Amar.
So I learned like I always had an idea of how the things work. Like if you have a superclass and a subclass, like I had an idea of how you can use methods from one and not from the other, but I didn't like it wasn't like clear. It was like just vague. But now I like understand how that works and like how costing works, like how to cost. So yeah, that's what I learned today.
Okay. Is that
And
everybody? Sivu went, or not?
no, Sivu didn't go.
Okay.
And I don't know if Chuma went. I nominate Sivu.
I can go.
Okay.
Okay, so what became clear for me was when to downcast or upcast. Like when I asked the question, why we had to cast to Drake when the reference type is artist. So that became clear for me that if the reference type is a superclass, though it's assigned and the object is the subclass, but if you want to assign it to the reference of that one on top, you have to downcast. So that's what became clear for me as to when to actually upcast. Yeah.
Okay, good. Amar, you already went, eh? Yeah. Kuma?
Me on okay. So for me, I don't know how to work, but like when we have like when we have the like an artist array, which is our reference type, we can only we can only have make new objects which are subclasses of that reference type. I don't know if you understand me
Yeah,
what I'm
that's the,
saying.
yeah, so we can put Drake in an array of artists, but we can't
Yeah.
put artists in an array of Drakes.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, is that everybody?
Can I ask something?
Uh-huh.
Did Zola say that the default, if you have a default method inside of an interface, you don't need to implement that method when you get when the concrete class implements that interface?
He said you don't have to implement it if it's default method in the interface, then the class that implements the interface don't actually have to implement it because there's already a default implementation for you. So it can implement it, so you can override the method in the interface, but if it's there, you don't have to actually call it. You don't have to create it because it will already be there for you.
Oh, so default method you don't need to implement. Okay.
You don't have to implement. You can though, if you want to take control of it, you can. Yeah, so that's kind of
Okay. Thank you.
okay. Cool. Is that everybody? Okay, so thank you, people. So are you up for doing something similar again tomorrow?
Yes, yes, please.
Okay, so
Yes.
so yeah, as I say, so we covered. I mean, so the thing for you to do is I shared that document, which is basically just the objective overview. So I think for you, it's important to go through that document and kind of tell yourself where you're not sure. So I'll be working. I didn't do it now, but I mean, I want to work through that document a little bit. So I think the thing is um, inheritance and its benefits. I mean, so I've shared the document with you. So I think let's just see, at Java. So that's something you need to read up on. So what's the benefits of that? So maybe you can go through that document, and if there is, can you do comments in that document? I'm not sure if you can. Was it only? Can you, Amar? Can you see if you can write? You can actually write in it. Okay. So let me fix that. So I made you all. I'm gonna make you viewers. Okay. But I want to know now. Can you actually create? Can you create comments? Can you kind of create a comment now and right click and say, and then this little blue thing come up. Can you write comments on the side?
Yeah.
So I want you to go through this document and see where the concepts that you would like to look at. Okay. So if you think about it, so maybe you have questions about it, observations or anything. So read through this, especially I mean you want to do it for everything, but focusing on inheritance and exceptions. Okay. So if you want to maybe say checked exceptions, then you say, okay, let's talk about that. And then, yeah, we didn't get to exceptions today. And we didn't even cover all the inheritance stuff. but I mean, if you understand that stack and heap thing, it will help you with lots and lots of things. So
Andre,
Oh, I can't comment anymore.
can,
yeah.
Andre, can you please share the Figma notes that you were taking?
Yes, I can. I will put that in. Okay, let me share it with the group as well. And then, as I say, so okay, so we'll do another session up. Maybe I'll do 2 tomorrow, 1 in the morning and 1 in the afternoon. Is that okay?
That's fine. Perfect. Thank you so much. Have a good day, Andre. Thank you so much.
We can't comment on the thing anymore though.
Okay, so I'll give you edit access. Just don't mark my document up. But add we have questions, we want to clarify things. I'll just make you editors again. I'll make you commenters. Then you should be able to comment. Okay, now you should be able to right click and comment.
Oh, Andre, I think tomorrow one section, one meeting with me, but over a section I think we all genuinely need help with. So like one strong meeting over 1 weak section we are weak at.
Okay, but then you need to tell me what are those sections. So you need to kind of
It's loops. It's really like loops is something everyone's just been sleeping on because we're all scared of we scared.
But I mean, so loops is one of the tricksy ones, but yeah, I mean, loops is practice, but I mean, the other things are concepts that we, so my challenge is you're failing on some of the, like, as I say, the inheritance and exceptions. If you do well in those, then you can do less well in loops, and loops will always trip you up because there's some tricksy logic. But you need to make sure you know the concepts, and I mean, it's clear from yesterday that the concepts we covered today, lots of them you haven't done. So I think we should make sure you know inheritance and exceptions well. But I'm very open to actually, I mean, to have one session about. So let's do one session about topics, and then another session about Q&A maybe. Is that okay?
Yes. Perfecto. Thank you so much.
Okay, cool.
Can you
Okay.
please do exceptions tomorrow?
Sorry?
Can you please do exceptions?
What about sessions?
Exceptions.
Exceptions. Okay, we can talk about that tomorrow. Okay, cool. Okay. Thank you, people. We'll speak tomorrow.